right, fans, a little bit of halftime talk for you as we're in the middle of a 28-14 lead for the Bremerton Knights over Olympic here at Memorial Stadium, and I'm joined by the coach, Lanny Dow. And Lanny, let's talk first about your alma mater, the Knights. Looking pretty good here in the first half of play, behind the running legs of a kid named Kyle Kennedy, who's just been phenomenal tonight so far.
Yeah, Kennedy, he's just an animal. He's a big, strong guy. Just loves to roll people over, and you're right. Why run anywhere else? And I know Chuck's upstairs watching this ball game, and he's loving this offense he's seeing from Bremerton right now.
Well, we've seen him on the defensive side of the ball as well, making some big plays. A couple other role players stepping up. Shadle's been key on some defensive situations. Really a good team effort for the Knights so far in the first half.
Very good team effort. And, the Shadle kid started the game up at Kingston, I believe, and he looked awfully good. And, of course, he's shown his athletic merit by starting on the boys' varsity basketball team last year as a freshman. A great athlete. And there's some other good little running backs out there, too. So Bremerton's got some good weapons, that's for darn sure.
Now we'll talk about Olympic for a second, because they've really built their season so far in passing the ball, and in this kind of weather with a little bit of a wind and the rain, it makes it really hard to do that. How do they get that passing attack back on track here in the second half?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think there's any reason to stop, and I always kind of believe that when the weather's kind of bad, and if you have a muddy field, what this isn't. This is a state-of-the-art, synthetic turf field, but you know where your receivers are going to cut, and they know where they're going to cut, whereas the defense has to make that adjustment. So maybe it's sometimes even tougher for the defense to play on a slippery field, and I don't know that I would stop the passing. The Olympic quarterback throws a nice ball, and the receivers do a good job, and I look for this Brown kid to be a little bit bigger part in the second half. I've liked him in the 2 or 3 games we've seen this year. He's a good little athlete, tough kid.
He's done a nice job of kind of saying, hey, don't forget about the running back on the other team. He's had some pretty big runs.
Yes, yeah, he really has, and you can't ignore him. He's not the size of Kennedy, but he plays with all the heart that Kennedy plays with. That's for darn sure.
And then for Olympic, they've got the #1 rated quarterback in the whole league. They've got 4 of the top 12 receivers in the league. They're definitely a kind of a team that can, if they can correct the offense, they can definitely come back in this kind of a matchup.
Yeah, they definitely can, and I don't think Coach Alvey will change his game plan at all. 28-14, that's still a ball game, and you got to play and protect the ball and focus on your game, and let's see, maybe Bremerton will make some mistakes. Who knows? That's why it's high school football is the most exciting sport there is, in my opinion.
Why they play 4 quarters and not just a half. Quickly, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but you're really active with the Szymanczyk Foundation. I want to give you the opportunity to let our viewers know about the Szymanczyk Foundation and anything that's going on that they can become a part of.
Well, we're really proud of the foundation, and to have Chuck's name out there, and to be kind of championing the type of kids that he really championed. He loved all kids, but the kids that had a little bit of a rough spot in their life, that's the kids he really tried to look after. And we try and give these kids who've had these rough patches in their lives a little bit of academic aid to get to college or to some sort of a trade school. And we've only had 1 kid out of 36 scholarships we've awarded so far that's dropped out of the program or isn't still in school, and we're real proud of that. And we're really thankful to the community and the alumni of the Bremerton schools for supporting us and believing in us and helping these young people out. And it's the greatest reward in the world to see a smile on a kid's face that can now maybe get a little help and support and a pat on the back and say, get into school because you can do it, and we're behind you.
Is there a website or a location that people can go to if they want to get more information on how to contribute or get involved?
Yeah, we've got a website that we really enjoy. It's www.szymanczyk.org, Szymanczyk.org. And we've got a section on there called Chuck Stories, where a lot of the old alumni, ball players and so forth, have write little anecdotes about Chuck, many of them humorous, and they're a lot of fun to read. And it's got information about our upcoming events. We've got our big crab feed coming up the 7th of May, and that thing is just packed the Sons of Norway in East Bremerton the last 2 years, and we expect the same this year. And I don't know who our celebrity host will be this year, but we're going to try and get Jenny Hogan from Channel 7 back, and that's a big fundraiser for us. And we just had another very successful golf tournament. So all that good information, a lot of pictures are on there, and we really appreciate you giving us a chance to talk about the foundation.
The last question for you, Coach. You're in enemy territory as you're watching the game tonight. You're surrounded by all the Olympic fans. They've they've kind of welcomed you over here with open arms, haven't they?
Well, they have, and they better, because I coached out here for 5 years. So we had some pretty good ball clubs out here, and we had a lot of fun out at Olympic High School, and got to work with a coach by the name of Doug Smith, who was a phenomenal football coach, and unfortunately didn't stay in this area long enough. But I think he still probably has the Olympic League record for most consecutive wins while he was at Olympic High School here. And many people probably know him now because of his son Alexander, who is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And this was a nice time out here, and they treated me and welcomed me with open arms, and I always enjoy coming back to Olympic. We still see some of the old ball players in the crowd.
And then really quick, speak on the, before the game tonight, they had a ceremony for the former coach of Olympic who passed away because of the brain cancer, and I had his name written down, and now I can't find it. Speak on that a little bit, both the importance of what he's done, in his legacy that he leaves behind, and kind of the outpouring of support that this community has given to his family.
Yeah, Eric Allen was the young man you're talking about, and he really a fine coach. And I think the thing I admired about him most was he could bring it to the table on the X's and O's. He knew his football very, very well, but the intensity he brought to practice and to the game is something that just spread to the kids, and I know the kids loved him for that. And Larry Dixon is probably one of the more known players here at Olympic High School in the last few years, would speak very, very highly of Eric Allen. And Larry's doing quite well now at the prep school back as he prepares to go to the U.S. Military Academy for school and to play ball back there. But Coach Allen was very deserving of every honor that he could get, and it's just too bad he was taken from us at such a young age. A fine coach, and more importantly, a fine man and a great role model for our kids.
He's the coach, Lanny Dowell. Lanny, thanks for coming up and joining us in the stands. I got you from your seat, and I thank you for taking the time out to come up and join us.
Thanks an awful lot for having me. I still enjoy doing this, and there's nothing better than high school football. I'll take a ticket to this any day over the team in Seattle, the Seahawks, and all that. This is where it's at.
It's a great environment, too. Thanks for coming up, Lanny.
My pleasure. A lot.
Thanks. There goes Lanny Dowell, and we're about a minute and a half, a little less than a minute and a half from getting the second half of this game underway, and again Bremerton with a 28-14 lead, and again I'm joined here by Paul Madden, who's providing some color for us tonight. And Paul, just to kind of echo the sentiments that Lanny talked about, the juice, the bread and butter, so to speak, of this Olympic offense has been to pass the ball all year. They can't abandon it, but what can they do to maybe try to get that passing offense on time and back in line to get themselves back closer in this ball game?
I would say that they're probably going to have to go to some sort of a trip-style formation. 3 wide receivers set to one side or the other, try to flood a zone, and get a short pass, dump-off passes, kind of a West Coast offense type feel. You're not going to be accurate throwing the ball downfield going long distance in this kind of weather. You've got to find a way to dump the ball out over a short distance to your receivers. Small gains, chip away, little bit at a time.
And a reminder, this game brought to you by Peninsula Suzuki, Subaru, and Triumph Motorcycles. Home with the free oil change for life on all new vehicles, and closed on Sundays for Family Day. Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles, proud sponsors of live streaming football of high school sports here at KitsapSun.com. Now, really quickly, let's talk about what Bremerton needs to do, Paul, because Bremerton really is in the driver's seat for this game the rest of the way, and they've really got, I think, a really clear roadmap to win this game of just continuing to feed the ball to Kennedy.
Well, I can tell you, it's amazing how much a football team can take on the attitude and the personality of its head coach. And that's what I think we're seeing evolve here with the Bremerton High School this year. You've got a team and a coach in Nate Gillum who, in his own day, was one heck of a bruising running back. And you're seeing the same style of play. So clearly he's leading by example, and he's setting the standard, and he's allowing his kids to exemplify that.
Well, the game is far from over, by the way, guys, because, again, it's only a 2-touchdown lead. And if we see any kind of turnovers or anything, if Bremerton turns the ball over, a fumble, an interception here or there, and really you can close that gap relatively quickly. So, with a 28-14 lead at the half, Bremerton in the driver's seat, but again, nothing's really locked down for the Knights.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head, Kevin, because in this kind of weather, in this kind of an atmosphere, you're going to see it. We're going to see more turnovers here in the second half. We're going to start seeing fatigue set in. We're going to start seeing kids getting cold, fingers getting numb, and it will definitely become more and more of a factor as the game goes on.
And the group we might need to watch the most might be that defense for Olympic. They've been on the field for a lot in the first half. And they've really had to spend a lot of time chasing after number 34. And you wonder, how energetic, how ready they're going to be here in the second half before that the tired and the aches start to come back.
Well, I'll tell you, to me, the key to the second half of this game and the ultimate score is going to be the offensive line of Olympic. They haven't been tested too much tonight. They haven't been on the field enough. They should be rested versus a team in Bremerton that really hasn't been, how do you say, they haven't been tested all that much on defense. A couple of big plays, that's it. That's all that's kept Olympic in the game right now. So Olympic needs to play some ball control offense. There's plenty of time left for them to score 2 touchdowns and be right back in this game. So I think the key is definitely going to be the offensive line of the Olympic Trojans.
And the other thing to talk about is Rachel Jordan, who's she's basically one of the offensive linemen for Olympic, and she's been out there all night, and we really haven't had the opportunity to talk about her much. But one of the things about Rachel Jordan that I think is the story is not that she's a female playing football, although that's a bit of discussion within itself, but the fact that she's playing on the offensive line. If you take a look at Rachel Jordan's numbers, she's only 5'5". She's only 150 pounds. Now we take a look at the numbers for the defensive linemen for the Bremerton Knights. We'll just read off some of these numbers: 5'10", 235, 5'9", 240, 5'9", 225, 5'6", 230, 5'9", 5'10", 195. I mean, the weight difference that she gives up just in body weight is amazing. But we have not seen a whole bunch of Bremerton Knights being able to get through that Olympic offensive line to really put a lot of pressure in the backfield.
Well, it tells you a couple of words come to mind: guts, determination. The young lady is out there, and she's sticking it to the guys lining up across from her. She's playing well. You got to give them a lot of credit for putting her out there on the field tonight.
Well, and she's done a nice job because we haven't, like I said, we haven't seen a whole bunch of people being able to get past her. And if you're not doing it based on size, you're doing it based on heart, attitude, and effort, and she's clearly shown that in the first half of the game tonight. So now Olympic's going to start off with receiving the kickoff.
And Parago is the kickoff for the night.
And what is a 28-14 Bremerton Knight lead. And what has been a little bit of an error-filled first half, but a lot of good running by Kyle Kennedy. Again, we want to give our congratulations out to the Kingston Buccaneers, who clinched a playoff berth in their win last night. Think about how far that program has come in just 3 years. 4 years ago, they didn't have a program. Their first year as a team, they didn't win a game, and now they've made it to the playoffs. Congratulations to the Buccaneers, and this game is underway. And they're going to throw a flag automatically. It's probably going to be offsides on the kicking team.
Yeah, that's one of those plays, Kevin, where if you're on the kickoff team, you've got to pay attention to the kicker. You got to watch where his foot is, and you don't cross that line until he strikes that ball.
So whistles it dead. They're going to back it up, and they'll re-kick it. And that's somebody a little too eager to put the pads on somebody, maybe.
Well, I think it's just kids being aggressive. They're excited, and they're out there, and they're having a great time, and you see the thrill of getting to run down the field. Listen, the best play to be on in a high school football team is the kickoff team. No doubt about it.
So here we go. They're going to be kicking off now from the 35-yard line, and again, the rain's starting to fall a little heavier now. And again, the cheer teams out there are all happy and smiling with their pom-poms, and I don't envy them because half the game you're just standing there, and it's got to get a little nippy for you out here in the rain and the wind. So here we go, the kickoff. We're going to try this again. Parago kicks it. Bit of a squib kick. It'll roll around and eventually be taking it at the 19-yard line. Finds a big hole up the middle, cuts it back to the right, and he's got to be one more guy as Parago, and Parago will knock him out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Sean Brown that time took it straight up the gut of the Knights special teams, found a hole, and then just poured on the speed, and Parago, the only guy that could take him down.
You see that happen a lot on squib kicks. Bremerton's actually done it a couple times themselves tonight. When you pull off a squib kick like that, what happens is the coverage tends to outrun the kick. So the guy that's receiving the ball has a chance to survey the landscape in front of him, find the gap, and hit it hard.
That was just what Olympic needed to start off here in the second half of play, as they are now going to start with the ball at the Bremerton Knight 24-yard line and the opportunity to try to close that gap.
And again, another big play by Olympic.
So here they come. Let's see if they score at their first play of the second half like they did in the first half. Here's a toss play, left side. And not really having anywhere to go. Brown looks like he might have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit past that. Shadle in with the tackle, and they are going to give him about a yard on the play. That's generous. It looks like you got back to the line of scrimmage. But again, as I said, the scoreboard operator is a home crowd favorite, and so they're going to give him the yard, but it's really going to be second down and 10. Here's the snap. Quick pass right side on the screen. Screen gets set up, and that was number 6, Stan Gazecki, and he'll get around. Looks like Shadle was in on the tackle. They're going to mark him down at about the 16-yard line. That's going to bring a third down and about 2.5 or 3 yards, Paul.
Like I said, you want to make your passing game effective, you're going to have to get the ball into the flat, get it out there quickly, and allow the guys to run after the catch.
And then when they're able to pull in those secondary people to have to cover the short pass, then they can try to hit it deep again. Here's a pass for the end zone, wide open, and he dropped the ball. The pass was intended for Quailon Otis, and Otis was all by himself, and you could see when he fell to the turf, he knew he should have had that catch. And that'll bring up 4th down and 4.
It looks like Bremerton's cornerback thought he was going to have some help over the top from that one, but the play developed too fast. The throw was out of the quarterback's arms too fast for him to get over there. Great play by Olympic.
And here we go, 4th down and 4, and Bremerton missed the ball on that one. Back to pass, they're going to throw it again. That'll be enough for a first down and knocked out of bounds. And Quailon Otis puts the reception, and Shadle, I almost thought they could have called Shadle with a little bit of extracurricular activity once it went out of bounds. He kept kind of pushing and trying to get Otis down, and there's been a couple times in the game tonight that the refs haven't called that, but that might have been one of those plays they could have called for roughing it out of bounds.
Well, that's always a judgment call. The kids got their angst up, and they're really going at it hard. You don't want to take that away from them, and if you throw that flag, that's what happens.
Toss to Brown, and Brown finds a seam, and Brown in for the touchdown. 11-yard run. Sean Brown gets the touchdown, and just like that, Olympic closes the gap with 8 within an extra point coming up, and a nice run by Brown that time.
Well, Kevin, that's what the short passing game can do for you. It can really open up those inside seams on the run. You get a quick hitter inside like that while the defense is looking for another quick outside hitter, and that's what you get.
And Brown is answered as best he can, and they're going to go for 2 points. And here we go. Here's an option play. Back to Brown. Brown will run into a wall of people and get dropped to the 3. And the 2-point play not good, and that'll leave it as an 8-point lead for the Bremerton Knights. And again, they're very reluctant to try any kind of kicking. And again, I don't know if it's because they have some continuing issues with a kicker in general, or if it's just because of the weather.
Well, Bremerton, you got to give them a whole bunch of credit here. They have read and played that option play very, very well tonight. And the option play is very hard to play from a defense. You've got to be disciplined. You cannot lose contain, and you got to stay on your man.
And importantly for Olympic, though, that score does bring it into a one-possession ball game. It's now 28-20 with 10:33 here to go in the third quarter of play. The Bremerton Knights leading Olympic in where we just continue to see the rain come down. And I don't know from our screen. We'll ask Spence to kind of pan up to one of those lights and see if we can get an idea and show the people at home how fast that rain is coming down. And again, our equipment doesn't show it very well, but you can see that it's not a big kind of a downpour, but it's a steady stream of it's a little misty out here tonight, so to speak, and it's coming down pretty steady, and it just continues to make that ball hard to hold on to, and even more hard to grab onto somebody's jersey as they're running by you.
A little misty, huh? It's raining, Kevin. It's raining. And I'll tell you what, if you saw white on the field, you'd swear it was snowing, because that's what the rain looks like right now.
So we're going to kick the ball off. It's at the 40-yard line, and Olympic will give it back to Bremerton. And Bremerton's kind of goal has seemed obvious throughout the game. Give the ball to Kennedy. And the kick underway, and it'll be an onside kick. And I don't think it went 10 yards, and even if it did, it was recovered by Bremerton. And it looked like that Olympic was a little tentative on the onside recovery because they didn't think it was going to go 10 yards. There wasn't a flag, so they're going to mark that. Did they kick that off at the 35 or the 40?
Well, it didn't go 10 yards, but it doesn't have to for Bremerton to come up and recover that. So Olympic couldn't touch it, didn't want to, and they waited to see what was going to happen. You know, it's a surprising call, but I give the coach credit for it.
Well, and gutsy, and I think Olympic knows too that Bremerton's going to try to feed the ball to Kennedy. In fact, let's see if that's what they do on 1st and 10. Instead, they come out in a shotgun formation, one back in the backfield, two receivers off to each side. They're going to go back to pass. Last time they passed to open up a drive, they threw a pick. Going to roll to his right. Roll around, still trying to run around. That's Fabian Perigo, I believe. Perigo now has a hold on the left side. Perigo looking for some blockers. He'll get a first down. He'll cut it back to his right. Inside the 30, the 25, the 20, 15, 10, 5, one man to beat, and he does for the touchdown. Fabian Perigo on what looked like a broken play for the beginning, Paul, and Perigo basically said, let me show my athletic skills and show you what I can do with the football.
Shattered, smashed, destroyed. Broken is a good word. I'll tell you what, he rolled out to the right. There was nobody to throw to. Great pressure by the Trojans' defensive line. They had him boxed in for about a half a second, and once he broke out and rolled back to the other side of the field, it was a foot race.
So here goes Perigo now, and Perigo gets the unique opportunity to score the touchdown and kick his own extra point. And this will make it a 15-point lead if he can hit it. The extra point is up. The extra point is good. And just like that, it's Perigo gets the ball. He's able to run it around a little bit. And again, scoring on the first play is Sabian Perigo. And one of the nicest kind of cutback moves we've saw in tonight's ball game so far, Paul.
You know, you can't help but just tip your hat when you see a kid take the ball and do magic like that. Amazing run, beautiful footwork, great field of vision. He seemed to see and feel what was around him the entire time. Very good play by the Bremerton defense. Even though it was just a complete breakdown, that was a one-man show.
Well, then again, you talk about a kid like Perigo, and it's important again to talk about what Perigo has done for this squad. Last year, he opened the season as the starting quarterback, was demoted a few games in and became the second-string guy. This year, he becomes the wide receiver kick returner. Then he comes out, gets the opportunity at quarterback, gets the snap, looks to pass, can't pass, finds something to do. Essentially, he's doing whatever his head coach asks him to, and you've got to have a lot of respect for a kid that does that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Kevin. Now let's watch the Bremerton kickoff and see if they try to squib or they're going to kick the ball deep.
And we'll see what they do here. 10:09 to go here. Third quarter of play, a 35-20 ball game. Bremerton Knights up by 15, and Olympics' inability to kick the extra point and instead having to go for two now kind of starts to be the elephant in the room. It starts to rear its ugly head a little bit because now instead of being down by 2 touchdowns, you're down by 2 touchdowns, and one of those is going to have to be a 2-point conversion if you want to come back into this ball game. Here's the kickoff. And the kickoff that time was Kyle Kennedy, who's everywhere. It'll be taken by at the 10, across the 20, the 25 to the 30. And Brown will get outside all the way out to about the 36 or 37-yard line. And is there anything Kennedy doesn't do? I'm just a little curious. He kicks off, he plays defense, and now he's the leading runner for the Bremerton Knights and the leading runner in the league.
How do you not love Mr. Kennedy? That's all I can really say. How can you not love it?
And Brown, a nice job with the return that time, getting it out. They're going to mark it at the 36-yard line. And I think we'll see a steady diet of Brown now, and they'll whistle it before the snap. That usually means an offside on the offense. We'll see what the official number is here. With 10:02 to go. Well, correction, Bremerton called a timeout before the snap. And so that's going to be a timeout, as maybe the Bremerton head coaching staff didn't like the offensive formation that Olympic came out in.
Well, it could have been the formation, and it could have been a personnel issue like we saw right at the end of the first half, Kevin. They might have decided that they didn't like the matchups that were there, and so they decided to make a change. Good call on the coaching staff of Bremerton.
So the cheer staff is down there trying to get the crowd into this game. The Olympic crowd has been a little silenced here since about midway through the second quarter when Bremerton put a little distance in. So we'll see if they can't. Oh, the cheer staff, you can't hear them, but they're singing in the rain is what they're singing as the rain continues to come down here at Memorial Stadium. So here we go, first down and 10. Ball at the 36-yard line. Snap and back to pass. Looking, get some pressure. First time we've really seen Bremerton give any pressure to the quarterback, and they're going to whistle the play dead. Willie Cadera just didn't really have any of an opportunity that time as the Bremerton Knights able to get in the backfield relatively quickly. I think Cadera really had one chance to throw the ball. He looked out in the flat, it was covered, and then he was swallowed up.
Well, it was probably a good call on his part. I mean, he took the sack, sure, but he stopped probably what would have been a bad set of circumstances if he decided to let go of that ball. Now look, see how they're coming out here, and they're going to go a couple of wide receivers left. He's going to try to maybe throw into the flat.
And Kadera does so on the flat to Brown, but this drive is incomplete, actually. They're going to say he didn't catch the ball, and probably a good thing he didn't catch it, because on this drive, Olympic is going backwards. That was 2nd down and 16. This is now going to be 3rd down and 16 yards to go. The ball at the 30-yard line.
I like the call, actually, but Bremerton read it well. You got to give him some serious credit there. The defender, he got into his stance, took a couple of steps back, immediately saw the running back come out to the flat, pivoted, come right back up to make the play.
More importantly for Bremerton is something we didn't see a lot in the first half was Bremerton getting into Kadera's face, and Bremerton's been able to do that here on this drive, the last 2 plays. Kadera shotgun formation, 3 receivers to the left side. Kadera back to pass, he'll step up, he'll roll to his right. Kadera not getting any time now, he'll throw across his body. The ball caught, and it's going to depend where they spot the ball at. It looks like they're going to mark it at the 44-yard line, which I don't necessarily agree with the spot. It looks like he should be much closer to the 1st down marker, but that's where the refs are going to put him down, just in between the 44 and the 49-yard line, Paul.
That was a great throw. We're talking a college-level throw from Kadera on that play. Across his body, strong throw, had plenty of zip on it, and luckily for him, he had a receiver with a great deal of poise, went right up in coverage and caught that ball to bring it down.
They're back on the 3 receivers, so they're going to toss it over to Brown. Brown's going to look for some room, and Brown is going to find no room at all as he's dropped down at the 43-yard line. And again, I still go back to the spot on that ball. The refs definitely didn't give it a favorable spot, and I might have given him really maybe not the 1st down, but really close. So instead, Olympic is forced to try to get the 1st down. And Brown is unable to get that, running the ball up the middle, so Bremerton takes over with a 15-point lead, 8:33 to go in the 3rd quarter of play.
This is a real dig-in time for Olympic. This is where the guts come out. If the character is here, this is where they're going to dig in and make a play.
Well, and in this weather, too, another touchdown could really put Olympic with their back against the wall. So we'll see what the Olympic defense can do. 1 receiver to each side. I formation for Bremerton. They'll hand the ball to Kennedy. Kennedy will take it on the sweep, but he's dropped in the backfield. Sorry, that was Michael Lawrence on the carry. Nathan Bazat did a nice job of reading the play and tracking down Lawrence in the backfield. A loss of 5, Paul.
That is a play reminiscent of a man like Lofa Tatupu. He shot that gap, came right on through, almost completely untouched. Beautiful form tackle in the backfield. Nice play.
A nice job to track him down in the backfield. 35-20 the score, 8 minutes even right about now left here in the 3rd quarter of play. Again, I formation. And the ball, this time it is Kennedy. Kennedy tries to get outside, and Kennedy swarmed. Looks like he's going to pick up a yard or so, but that'll be it. And that time, Olympic did a nice job of swarming to the ball. James Jones, Gaeta, in there on the tackle, and Olympic did a nice job of containing Kennedy on that play.
Again, good job by Olympic stretching the play out to our side of the field. They made sure that they weren't going to let him get outside. They kept containment and got the good play in the stop in the backfield.
That's going to bring up a 3rd down, and let's see, about 13 or so. The ball at the 46-yard line. And a big 3rd down play now for Olympic. You'd like to get the ball back relatively quickly and keep Bremerton from putting any more points up on the board. If you're Bremerton, you want to get a 1st down, if not more, and really continue to put the pedal down against Olympic. Here's the snap. They're going to roll around to the left-hand side, looking to pass up in the air, nearly picked off at the 20-yard line. A nice job that time by Willie Kadera on defense. Nearly had the pick and did a nice job of shadowing the receiver and ensuring that there would be no reception on that play.
That's why you're back there as a safety. You're playing center field, and I hate to mix the 2 sports together, but that's really what it comes down to. Your job is to go up and you get the ball at its highest point and you take it away. It's your ball. Nobody else gets it.
Terrence Jordan was the intended receiver. It'll bring up 4th down and 13. Harris will kick. Back to receive the ball is Sam Gazecki. He'll stand at about his 20-yard line. And the kick is up, nearly blocked, and gets it off, and a good kick that time to be taken at about the 11-yard line. He'll cut back to his left and is dropped at the 19 is Gazecki. It'll be 1st down and 10 at about the 19-yard line for the Trojans. in a 35-20 Bremerton Knight lead. Get a reminder that this game is brought to you by Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles, home of the free oil change for life on all new vehicle purchases. Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles, proud sponsors of broadcasting of live high school athletics here on the Kitsap Sun website. Here's a handoff to the right side.
Sean Brown.
Sean Brown will get out past the 20.
Number 24, Michael.
Got to get those commercials in for the sponsors, though. They are the ones who help bring this
Second down at 8.
broadcast to you. 6 minutes and 33 seconds to go.
The first time that we've seen Bremerton not nearly perfectly play the option play. Olympic Act, they pulled it off that time. It was a good play and got some positive yardage.
And you brought up earlier about how Olympic might want to go to those 3 receiver sets on one side, and that's what they've done. Here's an inside handoff, kicking it around to the right-hand side. Bremerton totally didn't see that coming. Skipping on down the sidelines and knocked out of bounds on the shuttle pass down at the 44-yard line. That is number 49. Micaiah McInnes. And just a little bit of an inside shuttle pass, Paul, and it worked out well. They caught Bremerton by surprise.
Great call by the coaching staff of Olympic High School. Wonderful misdirection play. Nobody saw it coming. I think they've been setting that play up for a while.
So here we go again, 3 wide receivers to the left. Here's a toss to Brown, and Brown is swarmed all over in the backfield. He's dropped all the way down to the 36-yard line, and that's going to be a drop of a loss of about 6 yards on the play, what they spotted it at.
That is the definition of contain. That's what happens. You get upfield, you get contained, and you force that running back to make a decision, and you turn him back in towards your defensive lineman. Great play by Bremerton's defense.
Be a loss of 7 on the play. They'll mark the ball at the 37-yard line with 5:40 to go here, third quarter of play. And now you'll notice they're going to bring 2 backs in the backfield to provide a little bit of support maybe to block, as Bremerton's been able to cause some issues. Passed over the middle and short hopped his receiver. The pass intended for Gisecki, and just short hopped him by about 2 yards there, and it'll bring up third down.
Yeah, once again, that's a weather-related bad throw right there. You can't get a good grip on it. It's tough. You'd better have that grip before the play even starts.
You kind of wonder what Olympics offense would like in a regular kind of non-rain related game, and the weather really has caused some havoc for being able to pass the ball. As again, all the numbers that we see for this passing offense is that it's one of the top passing offenses in the league with the top quarterback in the league. Here we go, rolling out to his light. He'll pump fake. Now he'll throw, airing it out all the way down. Caught it and dropped in his hands. And then out. Quaiwan Otis could not hold on. He's had a couple of drops today. He had that in his hands, and as he gets up, looks like he might be hurt a little bit. That he knows he should have had that catch.
Well, hurt in more ways than one. That might be a little bit of pride there because he knows he should have had it. But he was open, he had separation, and I'll tell you what, Cadera, that was a cannon. Nice arm, great throw in bad weather.
And a nice job of getting under the ball, too, of keeping his defender off of it and then settling under the ball by Otis and just not able to pull it in to make the catch. It'll bring up third down, 17. Pass over the middle, that one's caught by Gisecki, and he'll be dropped. He'll fumble the ball, but they'll be down before that fumble. It'll be about 3 yards short of the first down mark. It'll be a turnover on downs. That was actually fourth down, although the scoreboard operator here at the stadium still had it as third, so I apologize for the delay and the mistake. It'll be a turnover on downs. Bremerton gets the ball back.
Good call, good play. Very good execution. The quarterback Cadera waited for his route to open up. The receiver got open. Only bad point in that entire play was that the receiver just didn't quite go down the field far enough. He didn't make his cut after the first down marker.
When you're the receiver in that play, are you supposed to take a look at what that marker is and make sure you cut right around there?
Well, it is very important for you to understand and know exactly where that first down yard marker is, because you have to anticipate that you're going to get dropped as soon as you catch the ball. So it's important. You get past the first down marker, make your cut.
Here's a toss play to Kennedy. Kennedy will take the ball on the left-hand side, looking for his blockers to set up. They do. He gets all the way outside to about the 46-yard line. Oh, that'll be Lawrence again. Excuse me, that'll be Lawrence, and it makes me wonder if because they've gone to the lead, they're giving Kennedy a little bit of a rest, or Kennedy was acting a little bit hurt earlier. Maybe he's feeling it a little bit, but it'll be a gain of 6 for Lawrence.
Well, one of the differences that you notice in the running games is we talked about the patience level. The patience level of Bremerton right now is such that their running backs are following their blockers and letting the play develop in front of them before they hit the hole. That's good, disciplined running.
Here's another handoff right to the right side. This is going to be All the way down to the 40-yard line. Kyle Kennedy, just as soon as I say he's not in the game, he's in the game, and he carries it out to the 40. It's going to be another gain of about 6, and then Bremerton Knights first down.
Well, as you noticed on that play, he stayed completely behind both of his blockers, waited for them to become engaged with defensive players before he hit the hole. Good discipline.
And it shows a good sense as far as being a running back. People assume when you're a running back you just get the ball and you run, but there's an amount of patience that comes in when you're waiting for those blocks to be set. So here we go. 4:12 to go here, third quarter of play. 1st and 10, inside handoff. Kennedy gets it to the outside, fumbles the ball, it goes out of bounds, and the Knights will get a little bit of a break there as Kennedy fumbles the ball. It'll bounce out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. It'll turn into a gain of about 4.
Well, you got to hold on to the ball. What else can you say? Listen, we know the weather's bad. Both teams are playing in it. Don't give the ball to the other team. That's all it's going to take in this game to change the complete tide of it.
And as many times as Kennedy has had the ball, I believe that's the first time he's had any issues holding on to it, with the exception of that one really nice pass that he caught behind his back. But the rain continues to fall as we near about 4:03 here to go, third quarter of play. Bremerton's got to be feeling like if they can get a touchdown here, it might just be enough to give them some breathing room. Here's a handoff to Lawrence. Now Lawrence had looked to go inside, take it to the outside, and is drugged down right near the first down marker. Looks like he might have been about a half-yard short.
That was a really nice-looking open field tackle. If you're taught as a defensive player to key on the offensive player, the running back's hips. You watch his hips and follow his hips, and you'll notice that Coach Nate Gillum probably teaches his players for Bremerton to not be afraid to move those hips to throw that player off. You saw he was running strong to the outside. He could tell that there was no cutback lane. He went a little bit high, but it was a great open field tackle.
Yeah, I think he was picking some grass out of his visor for that one. So we come up to a third down and about a yard to go. Actually, not even that. I'm going to guess maybe half the length of a football here. On third down, a big third down opportunity. Here's the inside handoff, and that is meat and potatoes football right there. When you're able to give it to your fullback and just pound it straight up the gut. Looks like they picked up about a yard and a half or 2 yards on the play. It's a first down for the Knights.
That was a well-called play, well-designed. They got exactly what they needed out of it. Hats off to Bremerton.
And Shadle, one of the role players on this offense, had the carry and picked up the first down. So again, we're back to first down and 10 for the Knights. Ball at the 29-yard line. Knights playing around on offense, so vary up who's on what side. And the quarterback kind of ordering some people around, getting some people where he thinks that they need to be. Lawrence will give it over, then it'll be handed off. And that play went absolutely nowhere as Lawrence gave it over to Dedrick Harris. What was supposed to be a reverse around the other side. Richard Fesulai was not fooled at all on that play. It's going to be a huge loss all the way back to the 42-yard line. It's going to be second down, and this looks like it'll be about 23 yards now on second down.
That play was as a direct result of number 7's pure discipline. He read the play, he stayed at home, pushed him back, tackled him. Big loss, Olympic.
All right, here's a handoff to the left side, and again, Lawrence is brought down. That time it's Nathan Bazad, and now we're seeing the Olympic defense come alive a little bit. What was second down and 23 now turns in to third down as they knock it down at the 46-yard line, 3rd and 27, and the fans are not happy with some of these calls.
I'm sorry, I'm almost a little bit distracted by the crowds getting a little bit riled up here in front of us. You got to appreciate it, dude. This is what high school football is all about. We're finally seeing the Olympic defense come to life, it seems.
Yeah, and they're basically saying that what the fans are upset about is they thought that the play should have been marked all the way back at the 49-yard line on the other side of the 50, and there's a penalty flag on the play. Delay a game on Bremerton. And that's going to bring him back 5 yards as well. And I'm not sure. That's a mental error right there on Bremerton to allow the delay of game here to set you back even 5 more, and it brings up 3rd and 32.
I'll tell you, whenever I see a delay of game penalty, I always put the onus for that on the coach. Coaching staffs has to get those plays in as fast as they can to give the offense the huddle enough time to get the play called and get up to the line of scrimmage.
So it looked like it could be a good scoring opportunity for Bremerton. Turns into a really tough play as Darius Taylor-Jones, the intended receiver, and It'll bring up 4th down and 32, and I guess if you're the Knights, you probably might want to punt here.
Listen, it's 4th down and a quarter mile. You have two choices here. You're at midfield. You can either hand it off to your workhorse and hope he makes something out of it, or you can look to punt and pray that you don't get a return. Either way, if you're Olympic right now, you got to stay disciplined, pay attention to where the ball's at, and try to make something happen.
And Bremerton has not been able to score their last 2 drives, and they've allowed a little bit of a window of hope here for Olympic if they're able to get back into this. Here's the kick, a nice kick. It'll be taken at about the 18-yard line. See if he can get anywhere, and he cannot. That's Sam Gasecki.
Number 34, Kyle Kennedy.
Kyle Kennedy, we mentioned his name a whole bunch tonight. I think the Knights might want to change their names to the Bremerton Kyle Kennedys because Kyle Kennedy is everywhere tonight. He's in there on the tackle, and that'll give the possession over to Olympic and a 1st down and 10.
This could be a game-defining drive here for Olympic. They need to eat some time off the clock, drive down the length of the field, and probably try to, not just get a field goal, put it in the end zone.
And if you're Bremerton, you're going to feel like you missed an opportunity in that last drive. Here's a handoff that faked the inside shuttle pass, kicking it over to the right side. And you noticed as he was running to his left, and that was McKinnon. As he ran to his left, you could see him just wrap that ball up with both hands. He was not going to fumble that ball.
That's exactly how you carry the ball in this kind of weather. Now, you notice that was a bit of a slow developing play, almost like the defense was a little bit on the confused side. Great misdirection, well drawn up, nice time to call that play.
Begin of 11 and an Olympic 1st down as the ball is spotted right near the 35-yard line. At 45 seconds here to go in the 3rd quarter of play. Here's a handoff to Brown to the left side, excuse me. Brown finds holes. There's a flag down. Brown down the sidelines. One guy to beat, and he'll get down near the 30-yard line. We'll see where they mark him down at. They're going to mark him out of bounds right at the 30-yard line, but a flag down on the play. Normally where that's thrown, that might be holding.
I'd say that's a pretty good guess there, Kevin. They're going to call holding on Olympic High School, and you kind of could see it. You couldn't really miss it.
Kevin Chambers, Paul Madden joining you here from Memorial Stadium. Out here near the fairgrounds.
You got it right that time, Memorial Stadium.
What was I calling it before? The Coliseum, I don't know, Memorial Stadium. And that again is a penalty against Olympic. It's going to back them up, and what was a great run by Brown that time, and a nice job of finding some seams. Turns into nothing. That's going to back them up a little bit, and they'll replay the down.
Looks like it's going to be about 1st and 20 here. You don't have to get this all at once, and you really shouldn't even try in this weather. Nice little flat pass, maybe a dump pass, a little bit of up the gut. Try to make something happen.
1st and 21, back to pass. Looking for a good chunk of it, and is nearly picked by Kennedy. Kennedy, we talked about Kennedy tonight. As Kennedy stepped right in front of that, right near the 35-yard line, nearly had the interception, but couldn't hold on to it, and that'll bring up 2nd down and 21 as the rain continues to fall.
Back to what I said before. You don't try to get it all at once. This is bad weather. You've already proven that your short game is in good shape. You stick with what's working for you.
And the challenge with that is, again, he had a receiver wide open. It was just a little underthrown, well, a lot underthrown. And bring up 2nd and 21. Now he's going to roll to his right. Getting a little bit of pressure, stands in the pocket and throws, nearly picked off. Again at the 35-yard line. Lawrence was in there and nearly had the interception. And again, Olympic gets a blessing, as, the Bremerton can't hold onto the ball and get the interception. Will bring up 3rd, and now you've got to get most of it in one play.
It almost seems like Olympic has a sense of urgency that they don't quite really need to have yet. They still have lots of game left. They're only down by 15 points. It's a 2-score game. You had 1st and 20. You chip away at that. You march your way down the field, because now you've tried to throw the ball twice long distance, and if you don't get a 1st down here, you're going to give the Bremerton Knights great field position.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do here on 5 wide receivers set, 3 right, 2 left. Stepping up, now looking to throw, and threw behind his guy. The pass intended for Brown.
Incomplete.
And again, Kadera was really kind of just hassled in the backfield. He didn't really have a lot of opportunity. Tried to find a dump-up guy underneath and hope for something. But Bremerton did a nice job of getting in the backfield and just disrupting that play from the onset.
That's one of those plays where if you're Willie Cadera, you almost got to look to run on that. You come running up forward, you don't really make a good dump-off pass to your running back, but you had a lot of open space in front of you, and you can't be afraid to make a go of it.
So they're going to kick now. Cadera will kick, and that turns out to be a nice kick, but right to the returner, and that's Fabian Perigo. Perigo stays on his feet, spins around, gets past one guy, and gets into about the 44-yard line, into Olympic territory, and that's where the Knights will take over with 6 seconds to go here in the third quarter of play, a 35-20 Bremerton Knight lead.
Like I said, that's you saw the good return. Now Bremerton's going to start with great field position, and that goes right back to the play calls earlier by Olympic when it's 1st and 20. Instead of chipping away and playing the field position game, you tried to get it all too fast.
Well, then at some point you have to start worrying about the clock. Now Olympic begins to start having an issue where they're not only up against the Bremerton Knights, but the clock. They'll get a full quarter left to go, but they are trailing by 2 scores and at least 1 2-point conversion. So let's see what Bremerton does here as they have the opportunity to try to create some distance. A late player comes in, and that looks like that may be a delay of game, or is that a timeout? It'll be a timeout by Bremerton. They didn't want to get the delay of game. It looks like number 92 for Bremerton, who is not, nope, there it is. It's Darius Taylor-Jones was a little bit late getting into the formation, and they had to waste a timeout rather than get the delay of game penalty.
Well, that's one of those things you gotta point the finger at the coach on that. A lot is going on for the coach. So even though it's really kind of his fault, it's not a blame thing. You know what I'm saying, Kevin? You got to just you stay on top of it. You got to go with the flow. Coach made a good choice in calling the timeout. He's got a comfortable lead. He's probably assuming he's not going to have to worry about using that timeout later in the game.
Well, and if you're Bremerton, you definitely hope that timeout does not come back to be a challenge for you later. If you're Olympic, your defense really stepped up in the last drive that Bremerton had. You want to see them do that again.
Absolutely want to see them do that again. They got to maintain that aggressive nature, get in the backfield, make something happen. In this kind of weather, it's very conceivable, in fact probable, that if you play an aggressive style of defense here, you can cause a turnover.
And it looks like some confusion on that Bremerton offense as they bring Harris in closer to the tight end. Here's the handoff, running to the right side. That is Kyle Kennedy. And Kennedy spins, turns, and gets about 8 yards on the carry.
How can you not be impressed by a guy who shrugs off the first tackler, shrugs off the second, puts a shoulder into the third, and keeps going?
And there, a late flag on the play. Usually you see a late flag if there's a late hit or a late face mask. So we'll see what the refs are talking about at the 37-yard line.
I didn't really see anything go on there at the end of that play. Did you, Kevin?
They're going to call personal foul on the face mask. So, and the problem is that's going to be a 15-yard penalty tacked onto the end of the run. So instead of having the ball at the 36-yard line, you're going to have the ball at the 21-yard line. And Olympic doesn't need to be giving Bremerton any more leverage than they've already got at this point in the game as we've ended the third quarter of play. A 35-20 lead for the Bremerton Knights. And when they take over, the ball should be at about the 21-yard line.
That's a dagger for the Olympic High School Trojans right there. You've already in a situation where you're doing everything you can. You're fighting hard as a defense. You're trying to hold them, and you give up one of those kinds of penalties.
No, it's a good point, and it's disheartening if you're Olympic, who's really done a nice job of trying to hang on here, and their defense really stepped up well. But now you've got the ball, all the way down near the 21-yard line or so, and it's a first down and 10 for the Knights. And that's where we'll end the third quarter of play. A 35-20 ball game.
We'll give you this one tonight.
For the Bremerton Knights leading Olympic. Hey, we want to remind you that this game is brought to you by Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles. Always a great selection and great service. Stop by today. Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles. Proud sponsors of live high school sports streaming here on KidsAppSun.com.
The ball is going to be placed at the closing 21-yard line. So if you get to that ball moved.
Some other games going to be on the docket for next week, and I don't know, Spencer, do we know which game the KidsAppSun game of the week will be next week?
I think you got it correct tonight. Let out a loud rocket.
It'll be right here at this stadium next Friday night, CK and South Kitsap, a 7:30 start.
First and 10 for the next.
Winner of that game will be making the playoffs. You're definitely going to want to check it out. 7:30 next Friday night here at KidsAppSun.com. Other games on the docket for next week include Shimmikim at Port Townsend, Kingston at North Kitsap, North Mason at Bremerton, Squim at Port Angeles. Here's the handoff, running around to the left-hand side. This is Lawrence. Lawrence finds a nice hole, gets all the way down inside the 10-yard line. He'll get down. Yeah, they'll mark him down at the 10. Trey Bulova in on the tackle. It'll be another first down for the Knights. It's going to set up a 1st and 10 now. A 1st and goal, excuse me, at the 10-yard line for Bremerton.
It will be 1st and goal.
And again, if you're the Bremerton Knights, you've got to feel like one more score is really going to push Olympics backs up against the wall. So here they come, pushing it around to the right side. This is Harris. Harris will look for the pylon. He got close and knocked out of bounds at about the 1 or 2 yard line. Is Harris able to go around on the sweep, not able to find the pylon, but a nice pickup on the play. They're going to put him down at about the 2, so a gain of 8 on the play. Be 2nd down and goal to go, and the rain continues to come down. So 2nd down, goal to go. Ball at the 2 yard line. Bremerton wants to punch this in. Olympic wants to force a turnover. 11 minutes and 31 seconds to go here in the ball game. Up under center. Man in motion. I'm not sure if they tried the inside handoff. That was a handoff to Kyle Kennedy. Just out of like an inside trap. And the plan there was to get the ball right up behind that offensive line and see if the offensive line could just help get Kennedy into the end zone. They were close. Gain of a little over a yard on the play. It'll bring 3rd down and goal from the 1. And if you're Bremerton, it brings up a really interesting situation here, because if you don't get the 1st down here, conventional thinking would be to go for the field goal and make it a 3-score game. Well, let's see if they can get the touchdown here. They fumble the ball. The ball's dropped. Fumbled right there on the snap at the 1 yard line. And let's see what happens here. It's going to be 4th down and goal to go. And Paul, really interesting on 3rd and 1. They're not able to pick up the 4th down. Conventional wisdom would say your Bremerton kick the field goal, make it a 3-possession ball game.
If it's me, this is gut check time right here. If I'm Bremerton, I try to manhandle the Trojans and put the ball in the end zone. Give it to your workhorse running back. Plow straight ahead.
No, it's a good point. We'll see what they do here. 10 minutes and 20 seconds and counting to go. Well, here they come. They're going to try to go for it on 4th down. This is a gutsy call. Here's a handoff. Kennedy into the end zone. Touchdown, Bremerton Knights. And that is a dagger in the side. And Paul, you called it a gutsy play call. And again, when you got a guy like Kennedy on your team who's done so well tonight, maybe it's an easy call to make. But still, Bremerton gets a touchdown. It's a 41-20 lead with the extra point pending.
This is where you bury your opponent, and that's the bottom line. That's the nature of football.
So Sabian Perigo will come in to kick the extra point with the ball at the 10. Perigo will make this a big lead of 22 points now. A 42-20 lead with 10:08 here to go in the 4th quarter of play, and the Bremerton Knights have really done an outstanding job of running the ball behind Kyle Kennedy. And for most of the first half, Olympic was able to hang behind the running of Brown. But they've really felt like, they've seemed like they've really wanted to push the tempo of this game and pass, and it's been really hard to do with the way that this rain is coming down here tonight.
Well, they are Olympics being manhandled at the point of attack, and that's the bottom line. And when I say manhandled, I don't mean in a bad way. It's just that Olympics defense has been on the field so much of this game because Bremerton's been able to play ball control football. With ball control football comes a lot of different aspects. Most important is conditioning. And unfortunately, in this kind of weather, it completely saps you. Olympics defense has just been on the field too long.
Well, and now we're going to see what Olympics offense is able to do, because now the clock is their enemy. Now they're not just playing against the Knights, they're playing against the clock as well. In order for them to get back into this ball game, they're going to need to score. They're going to need to score quickly, and then pray for an onside kick or some other way to get the ball right back. 10 minutes and 8 seconds to go. Here's the kickoff. It'll be taken at about the 15-yard line, looking for some holes. So he gets some blockers. This will be Brown. Brown will take it around to the left side. Brown's got some room and eventually be chased out of bounds after he goes out right about the 40-yard line. Harris will chase him out of bounds, and the Trojans will start 1st and 10 here at the 40-yard line, trailing by 22.
Now they've got a good return. They're going to have good starting field position. It's going to be very important to pick up the tempo. The pace is going to have to favor Olympic here, or they're out of it.
So now we'll see what Bremerton is able to do here with a 22-point advantage and see what their defense is able to do in order to corral what is probably, well, I would say definitely be passing downs now for Olympic. 2 receivers right. Here's an inside handoff, and Bremerton not fooled at all, but he's able to shake some tacklers and get down to about the 42-yard line. That was McInnes on the carry. He'll get down again to the 42. Gain of about 2 yards. Michael Lawrenson on the stop. Bring up 2nd down.
You have to assume that Olympic thought they were going to catch Bremerton a little off guards there. It just didn't quite work that way for him.
5 wide receivers set, back to pass. Passes it over to the flat. Jasenki able to pull it in. And that time, not a good job of tackling by Lawrence. Lawrence probably had a stop on him about 10 yards before that, but I think the rain plays into that too. You're not able to really stop and gather yourself. And that time it was Jasenki was able to get down to pick up a 1st down, and they're going to mark it down to the 33-yard line.
I can't stress it enough. If Olympic wants to have a shot to get back in this game, they're going to have to pick up the tempo with the short passing game, and they're going to have to try to catch the Knights back on their heels.
This time it's 4 receivers set, 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Back to pass. They'll do an inside handoff as Brown. Good call on the draw. Brown fumbles the ball, tries to fall on it. Ball knocked around. Who gets it? Bremerton looks like they might have had it, but now there's a scrum going for that ball, and the Knights do recover it. It's signaled quickly that the Knights had the ball all the way back at the 18-yard line. And again, Olympic just finds another way to just let a little more air out of the tires.
Yeah, they're flat. They're flat. Listen, that was a beautiful run. He set it up well. An unfortunate set of circumstances. In this kind of weather, you just got to hold on to the ball. You can't give it up when you're trying to drive to get back in the game.
Yeah, you feel bad for these kids because you don't really look at it as shooting themselves in the foot because they're working for every single yard. But this rain coming down harder now than it was a couple minutes ago. It just continues to fall, and that football is not easy to hold on to when it's all wet. So here comes Bremerton. And now we're going to say Kyle Kennedy's name about 50 times here in the next 15 seconds. There's a fumble. Let's see what happened on that play. See if Olympic gets the ball back. This is going to be a really important call here because Olympic can get it back without a lot of time being lost on the play. And it looks like it's still going to be Bremerton football.
Yeah, if you're an Olympic fan, you had to look at that play and hope. But it wasn't much of a fumble. I mean, it was a missed snap. It was a miscue between the quarterback and the center. And Bremerton quickly jumped on it.
So it's going to bring up 2nd down and 10. Ball recovered right at the line of scrimmage, so no change in the field position at all. 2nd down and 10 for the Knights. Clock stopped with 8:40. Clock running, 8:40 to go here in the ball game. And Bremerton now just needs to run the clock out. Olympic needs to get a stop. Get a stop quickly. Here's a handoff. It looks like it's a handoff to Lawrence. It is. Lawrence will go up the middle. Lawrence will get down just a little bit shy, I think, at the 25-yard line. Be a gain of about 4.5 or 5 yards on the play, Paul, and that'll bring up a 3rd down for Bremerton and a big opportunity for Bremerton to keep this ball and keep the clock moving.
Yeah, it's interesting. Apparently there's some miscommunication between the folks on the sidelines and the refs, and because we keep seeing this mistake happen over and over again, it's not 2nd down, it's 3rd down.
So here we go, 3rd down, 4 yards to go. Here's a handoff again to Lawrence to the right side. Lawrence tried, nice move by Lawrence. Lawrence was stopped in the backfield. Lawrence was going to be down for a loss, and he's able to put on the brakes, cut back to his left, get around the defender, and more importantly for Bremerton, pick up a 1st down.
Yeah, it was a great play by Lawrence. Listen, that's great footwork right there in the backfield. He was stopped, dead to rights. He was able to make that first guy miss, and then it was an easy 6-7 yards down the field.
And Lawrence is going to be one of the key players for the Bremerton Knights coming up in the basketball season. He's a great athlete, and he's got great moves, and that right there kind of reminds me of, trying to get yourself off the pick and roll in the paint. What he was able to do there just to get down to that 1st down marker. So here we go again. Here's another inside handoff. Coming up and
carried by Andrew Shadle.
Shadle gets a gain of about, they're going to mark him at the 40, so gain of about 6 yards on the play. bring up second down and 4, and now Bremerton able to use what really is their strength to their advantage to milk this clock.
Well, I can tell you right now that whereas before we had a sheet of rain coming down, now it's 4 sheets of rain and wind, and I'm even starting to get cold sitting here in the stands. So you can only imagine what those kids are feeling like down there on the field.
So here we go. Here's another inside handoff, and that's going to be, that's going to be Kyle Kennedy, and Kyle Kennedy gets all the way down to the 45-yard line, and Kennedy getting helped up by his teammates. And again, you know, Kennedy just a little bit slow to get up. You know, he's got to be tired. He's got to be sore. He's got to be feeling it because he's really been active today.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you not watch a kid run like, if you're a scout for a college team, aren't you just looking at that kid and just licking your chops saying, I need to talk to him?
Well, the other thing that really impressed me about Kennedy is that we know that the Bremerton Knights aren't trying for a playoff spot. So we know that this is basically a pride game. And when a kid comes out and runs like that just for pride, imagine what he can do for a team with expectations and a chase to try to get into some postseason play. And Kennedy's done it all for the Knights tonight. Here we go now, first down and 10. Ball at the 47-yard line. Here's a handoff, getting to left side is Lawrence. And Lawrence just puts his shoulder down as he's ridden out of bounds at the 41-yard line, and Lawrence that time not afraid to draw some contact.
At this point in time, it almost seems like Bremerton's beginning to have their way with the Olympic defense. And you, like I said, you can't fault the defense. They've been on the field far too long today, and it simply comes down to the offense for the Olympic Trojans not playing ball control.
So we're at the 41-yard line. Bremerton up by 22, 42-20. 6:05 here to go in this ball game. And the Bremerton Knights look well on their way to picking up a victory here. Bremerton hands it back to Lawrence again, and Lawrence down to the 40-yard line. Looks like he might have gained about a yard on the play. It'll bring up another third down. And if there was ever a time that was pretty much do or go home time for the defense, this is going to be it right here on third down, 4 yards to go. Olympic needs to force a turnover or a punt to have any opportunity with 5:33 and counting to go here in this ball game.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. You know, though, the truth of the matter is really simple. Bremerton's going to run the ball up the gut, and Olympic's going to have to stop it, plain and simple.
So here goes a quarterback keeper, and he's not going to get to the first down. Looks like they're going to mark him at about the 42-yard line. Now that's going to be about 2 yards short of the first down. And now Bremerton's got a decision to make. They're probably, well, definitely in this one, they're out of field goal range, although the wind does appear that it might be actually trailing behind them. So the question is, do you go for it on 4th and 2, or do you try to punt and pin Olympic deep?
Well, again, if it's me, if I'm Coach Nate, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it to one of my workhorses. I'm going to let them run straight forward. If they don't make it, you know, it's no big deal. Olympic's got a lot further to go. If you punt it, you risk a return.
Well, they're going to go for it. And here we go. Here's the inside handoff, and they're not going to get the first down. And a nice job of stopping them. I think that was number 28 that time. Tanner Story, the senior, getting the handoff the first time we've called his name tonight. And Olympic got a defensive stop when they needed one. They'll take over on downs.
Give it up for Olympic and their defense on that play. It was gut check time, and they delivered.
So now the Olympic offense will come out. And now, again, you can't really count Olympic out of this because the fact of the matter is the passing offense is their strength. This is what they do best, what they've done best all year. But they're going to need to move the ball quickly, and they're going to need to get some points on the board. Here's a run. Quarterback is going to take it up the middle. He'll get all the way down to the 49-yard line. Willie Kudera takes the ball. They're going to spot it again at... Yeah, they're going to give him a nice spot nearly to the 50-yard line, just shy of the marker, and they're going to do a hurry-up offense.
Now that looked like a design quarterback draw. You notice he didn't wait, he didn't look around. There was no reads on his receivers there. It was a good play.
Bubble screen out to Jasinki. Jasinki will take the ball. Does not get out of bounds. They're going to mark him down to the 45-yard line, but the clock will continue to run. At some point, you're going to have these players get out of bounds, right?
Yeah, that's a play where you're so close, you knew you were going down. He really should have tried to get out of bounds on that play.
First attempt from the 45, inside handoff. This is going to be a nice run as he's able to break tackles. It's Brown, and Brown gets all the way down to the 32-yard line and caught Bremerton's defense by surprise because they were looking for the pass.
They were absolutely looking for the pass. There was a big hole the size of the Mississippi River there for him to run through. He hit it hard and got a good gain out of it.
So here we go, another first down, 10 yards to go, ball at the 32. Two wide receivers split to each side. Quick pass over to Jasinki, incomplete. Jasinki again could not hold on to it. It will stop the clock, though, which is kind of a blessing in disguise for a wave for Olympic. With 3:43 here to go in the ball game, a 42-20 lead.
It is. At this point in time, you almost got to feel like you're out of it for Olympic, so now it's all about pride. Now you just want to score as a sense out of pride.
I won't quite count them out yet. If they can get a quick score, recover an onside kick, they can still kind of try to claw their way back into this game. Here's another quick pass on a screen to the right side. Jasinki will take it. He'll lose the ball. It'll go out of bounds. Again, that's not actually bad for Olympic because it stops the clock.
I mean, what can you say? You just got to laugh about that. The kid's not getting out of bounds. He's still a long way from the sidelines. He didn't even have a chance, and he just so happened to fumble out of bounds.
So it'll stop the clock with 3:36 here to go in the ball game. 42-20. Ball just inside the 25-yard line. They'll fake the handoff. They'll pass it again to the outside and stepping out of bounds that time. Number 88, Quailon Otis. And he smartly gets out of bounds and stop the clock. A Trojan first down with 3:31 here to go on the clock. And this is one of the gripes I always have about teams is that they go into this kind of a protective zone defense to not give up a big play, but you give up a whole bunch of plays underneath.
Well, that's when you have to bend but not break when you're on defense. It's okay to give up the plays underneath. It's okay to force your opponent to work for something. And we've got a big run into the end zone for Trojans.
And that's Sean Brown. And again, that's the Bremerton Knights expecting a pass. They come out in a shotgun formation, do the draw. Brown basically takes it all the way, and Bremerton had a couple opportunities to tackle the kid and weren't able to do so.
Yeah, listen, that's one of those plays where you just got to go back if you're Bremerton and you got to blow it off and you got to turn around and be ready to get a stop now.
So they're going to go for two. 3:22 to go in the ball game. I said it a couple minutes ago. They had to get a quick score, then they got to go for an onside kick. They'll go for two. Rolling to his right, looking for a completion for two. This will be knocked down, and some nice defense by Bremerton. Willie Cadera really had nobody open to throw to in the corner, but it doesn't hurt them as much as you would think because they're still down two scores, 16 points. It's a 42-26 score. 3:22 here to go in the fourth quarter of play, and the onside kick's on its way.
Look, there's no mystery what has to happen now. If you're Olympic, you line up, you gut check, you go for the onside, and you say a little prayer.
So here we go with 3:22 to go in the ball game. Olympic has gotten a touchdown to get themselves a little bit closer, but they're going to have themselves an onside kick return recovery in order to have a chance to get back in this ball game.
Correction. Jack Thornton in the kick rule.
So we'll get underway to get this onside kick. And a reminder that this game is brought to you by Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles. Always a great selection and great service. Stop by today. Peninsula Subaru, Suzuki, and Triumph Motorcycles. You know they're the home of the free oil change for life on all new vehicles. They're also closed on Sundays for Family Day. And thanks to Peninsula Suzuki, Subaru, and Triumph Motorcycles for sponsoring the live stream of high school athletics here at Kitsap Sun. 3:22 to go here in the ball game. Olympic needs the onside kick. They'll pull two guys over to the left. They'll go for the onside kick, and they're going to kick it right to somebody loose ball on the ground. Let's see. And it was recovered by the Knights, who will take over first and 10 to the 49. And now Bremerton just really with a really easy recipe for how to wind out this clock and win this game. And it's Kennedy, it's Lawrence, it's running the football.
You know, I'm not sure. That's the second time we've seen Olympic try to onside kick, and the kicker ended up going to the middle instead of more towards his strength. And I'm not sure if it was by design, like I said, or if it's just that it's bad weather and the ball's not going where he wants it to.
Yeah, anything involving the ball in this turf is just going to be completely thrown out the window just because of the water and the rain. And it really feels like the wind has picked up here in the last 20 minutes or so. So here come the Knights, and you know that they're just going to hand the ball. They're going to give it to Lawrence. Lawrence will take it across to the left side. Lawrence smartly stays in bounds but fumbles the ball.
Michael Lawrence.
The ball is fumbled out of bounds, and Olympic had another opportunity there.
If you're Olympic and you want to have any shot in the last 3 minutes of this game, and stranger things have happened in football, okay, it's a wet, rainy, cold night. You get your hands in there, you stick your arms in there, you hit somebody hard, and you hope for something good.
I don't know if Heidi's on TV anywhere, but I would not switch this off yet to go watch Heidi. It's an old AFL reference for you. So here we go, ball at the 48-yard line. Inside handoff, and a nice run up the middle that time. That will be Kennedy. Kennedy will pick up a first down. He'll get inside the 45 all the way down to the 40, and that actually will be Shadle, correction. Shadle on the carry. And I think we might have seen the last of Kennedy today. I think he's done what they needed him to do.
If you're Olympic, you got to be trying to strip the ball. Stick your hands in there, rip that ball right away from the guy that's holding it.
So 3 minutes now to go in the ball game, and Bremerton is really going to milk this clock, as they should. It's smart football, folks, just to get this clock down as much as possible, try to run this thing out. Although, believe me when I say this, if one of these kids can get a line on the end zone, you know they're going to take it. So here we go, 2:43 to go here in the ball game. Bremerton will continue to run, man in motion. Here's the inside handoff. And again, falling forward, getting down to the 37-yard line.
On the tackle for the Trojans.
That was Tanner Story on the tackle, the second time we've talked about him tonight. And there is a timeout called, taken by the Olympic Trojans with 2:32 to go, and that's their first timeout they've used this half. They got 2 remaining. A 42-26 lead. So Paul, Bremerton, a nice job tonight on the ground, and really, I not to discount what they've done at all, but this weather really kind of played into their strength and played away from the strength of an Olympic squad that's really successful at being able to pass the ball.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Like any other sport, you're playing on the same field under the same conditions, and you have to try to match your opponent no matter what.
So here we go, and what's a 2nd down and 7. The ball is at about the 37-yard line, I think is where they've got it marked at. The other guys I feel bad for are the refs, because they stand around so much and they just got their little jerseys on, no helmets. You know that they're feeling pretty cold about now. They're probably ready for this game to be over as well. So here we go with 2:32. 42-26, Bremerton leading Olympic. Man in motion. That's a handoff over to Harris. Harris will take it on the sweep. Harris finds a hole, cuts back to the center of the field. Harris will take it around. He's still on his feet. Harris won't go down. He's struck down at the 11-yard line. And Harris, a nice run that time. It'll stop the clock. James Jones on the tackle. Stops the clock on the first down. So with 2:21 to go. You know, Paul, Bremerton may not be out of the end zone again. You know, they might not be held out of the end zone again tonight. They might be on the way to another score.
Well, you know, you gotta tip your hat to the hunger. That's a lot of desire. That kid would not go down on that last run.
And Lawrence could have easily just fallen down in bounds and knew he was going to milk the clock and didn't do it. A great run by Lawrence. And again, I was able to call some of the Suns basketball games last year. Just a good, energetic kid, a really athletic kid who brings a lot to you on the basketball court and show what he can do here on the football field as well. 2 minutes now remaining. Here's the inside handoff, and they got a big hole but a fumble. Loose ball picked up by Olympic. And driving with the ball.
Bremerton fumble
right into the arms of number 2, Ethan Stalls. And again, that was right in the ball, right into Ethan. Sorry.
That ball just squirted right out, right into his hands like a shuffle pass.
We'll try to pronounce his name right this time. Ethan Sarlis. And just when we start talking about Bremerton being able to get in for another score, there's another fumble. And again, you know, a lot of turnovers tonight. I don't blame the kids for that at all. This is a tough weather situation to play football in with $1:48 to go.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more, Kevin. Listen, these conditions are almost as bad as they get. The only thing that'll make it worse is if it was 33 degrees or less.
So here we go. 5 receivers set, rolling out to his left, trying to find someone to throw it to, just trying to keep the play alive. He's going to cut it back to his right, trying to find someone to throw it to. He's going to throw it way down the field. Ball is up and knocked down. Now, he had a guy, and it might have been his intended receiver, which would have been number 49. Micaiah McInnes, who was wide open. But again, I think that because of the weather issues and because of the fact that you just can't get a good grip on the ball, even if he was trying to throw it at him, he couldn't get the distance on the throw to be able to get it there.
Yeah, in this weather, that's not the first thing. That's not probably not what he wanted to do. But he went through his progressions and his receivers. He waited for the play to develop, and it just didn't become what he wanted it to. He tried to make something out of nothing, and it was a good try.
And a good job of Kadira to keep the play alive. Here's an inside handoff, and that'll go to Brown, Sean Brown.
Tackled by Andrew Shadle.
Shadle in there on the tackle, and it'll bring up a third down, and looks like they're going to spot the ball at about the 14-yard line, which would make it third down and about 6 yards to go. Kadira takes a snap. Kadira puts it up, just kind of a toss-up pass. The ball is caught and knocked out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Muir with the reception at the 32, out of bounds, stops the clock and a first down. With 1:01 to go, Olympics not quite ready to give up the ship just yet. They want to see what they can do to try to get some more points up on the board.
Quick throws, get out of bounds as fast as you can.
So here we go. Back to pass, Kadira dumps it over to the right side and not really able to get much of anything. Brown gets it out to the 35-yard line. Harrison there to get the tackle, a gain of 2 on the play, and those flat plays usually work pretty well, Paul, but not when you're worried about the clock, and 37 seconds to go and counting, and they might get 1 or 2 more plays off here. Kadira back to pass. Kadira rolls, looks, throws it, nearly caught at the 40-yard line, and again Muir again, that was a bullet pass too. He just had a hard time corralling that in. Stops the clock with 27 seconds to go.
Well, at this point, you got to go against conventional wisdom. You got to start taking those shots down the field because the dump-off passes aren't going to do you any good.
All right, so here we go with a 42-26 score. 27 seconds to go, and now you know that Bremerton just doesn't want to give up any more points, and Olympic would like to get into the end zone one more time before we wrap this game up. The game is out of hand with a 16-point lead with 27 seconds to go. Kadira back in the shotgun formation, 5 receivers set, 3 left, 2 right. Kadira back to throw. Kadira looks, steps up, throws it over the middle, and intercepted. Running it over to the right is Perigo, and Perigo runs it down the sideline to be knocked out of bounds. A flag on the play with 11 seconds to go. May have been a late hit out of bounds. With 11 seconds to go, Perigo with the interception. That's going to make this game as academic as it possibly can be with time still on the clock and a 16-point lead.
Yeah, but you got to appreciate their gut and their vigor, man. They tried to take the shot. Okay, they fell a little bit short. But at this point in the game, you didn't have much of a choice.
They called the Knights for a block in the back on the return. That's going to back them up 15 yards. And that might be something you hear the coach for Bremerton talk to his team about next time that they're in practice. Listen, we don't need silly penalties. You don't need to block anybody in the back. You don't need to risk anybody getting hurt. Lay down on the ball. Let's just run this game out. Don't risk anybody getting hurt in this kind of situation. We don't need any silly penalties.
And the Knights take the victory formation. Congratulations to the Bremerton Knights. Well-played game. Impressive ground game tonight.
So 11 seconds on the clock. They'll take the snap and down it out of this. And that's going to run the clock down with 7:65. 3-2-1. That's going to wrap it up here from Memorial Stadium. The final score, the Bremerton Knights 42, the Olympic Trojans 26, and really our player of the game's got to be Kyle Kennedy. An outstanding effort by the running back tonight. I wish we had stats. I'm going to check out the Sun website tomorrow because he had some monster numbers and really set the tone early for this team in the game.
Absolutely he did, and like I said earlier in the broadcast, Kevin, if you're a college scout, how can you not look at that young man and salivate because he's got all the goods.
Now again, next week, our Kitsap Sun game of the week is going to be right here at this stadium as Central Kitsap will host the South Kitsap Wolves. And essentially what becomes a win and you're in the playoffs game, the Wolves and the Cougs right here at 7:30 Friday night on KitsapSun.com. Spencer, the greatest cameraman in the world, do you have anything you want to say about the game tonight? Did you? No? He's just glad to get out of the cold. On behalf of Paul Madden, Spencer, the camera guy, I'm Kevin Chambers. Thanks for checking out this broadcast. Remember, this broadcast is the exclusive property of the Kitsap Sun. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the express written consent of the Kitsap Sun is strictly prohibited and pretty much frowned upon. Thanks for checking out the game. Again, the final score, Bremerton 42, Olympic 26. You've been watching high school football at KitsapSun.com.